Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Michigan in Ann Arbor, the Big House, Saturday. Now, some news came down over the weekend in regards to the Michigan cheating scandal. Jim Harbaugh has decided to not pursue and go ahead with court, and he's going to sit out the last game here on the sideline. And there are reports out there that the Big Ten does have overwhelming evidence against Michigan, so we will see. But I think ultimately, Josh, and I said this today on Brandon's World, it comes down to who can run the football better. It comes down to the line of scrimmage. Who's going to win the line of scrimmage? Who is going to control the game? And I also think this: if one or the other, if Ohio State or Michigan get up 10-0 on the other, the game's going to pretty much be over from there. Because neither of these two teams have trailed really at all this season. Both of these teams have gotten out to big leads. They both have gotten out to big first half leads. They both have, pretty much coasted outside of one or two games the whole season. They've never, either of them really, have been in serious trouble losing a game at any point this year.
Well, Ohio State was when they played at Notre Dame, but
yeah, but I mean that was more of a game on the road. Notre Dame's offense wasn't really doing anything in that game. In my opinion, I think it comes down to the experience of the two quarterbacks. I think in the end, J.J. McCarthy will make one more big play than McCord of Ohio State. I have Michigan winning this game by about 20-17, 23-20.
So, not only is this game going to decide who wins the Big Ten, because I'm just dismissing Iowa. Iowa is going to
I agree.
Iowa's going to get smoked by either one of these teams. I don't care if it's Ohio State. I don't care if it's Michigan. I'm also going to say this is a college football eliminator game. And I'll tell you why. Look at the two schedules. If Ohio State loses this game, they still have a slim chance of getting into the college football playoff because they won that game at Notre Dame and they won their home game against Penn State. Whereas you look at Michigan's schedule, they've played nobody, except for their road game 2 weeks ago at Penn State. They didn't play anybody really in non-conference. So if Michigan loses this game, I think they miss the college football playoff in favor of somebody like Washington, Oregon, Alabama. I hate to say it, but I'm going to eliminate Florida State given that they lost Jordan Travis.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And by the way, with the other teams that you mentioned, I don't think Florida State had a chance anyway. Just
fair
because
enough.
of the nature of the competition.
I'll tell you this. Get my point, though?
Yeah, I do, but I'm fascinated. It really comes down to, and I know, we don't have this game on the schedule, obviously, for tonight, but it really comes down to if Alabama beats Auburn in the Iron Bowl, and if Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game, assuming Georgia's undefeated going into that game, because I believe they have Georgia Tech this weekend, both of those teams, Georgia and Bama, will be in. So then you look
I don't know about that. I don't know.
If Bama's only loss is to Georgia, or if Bama plays Georgia and beats them, and their only loss is to Texas with Quinn Ewers, I think Bama's strength of schedule, the fact that they were able to beat Georgia, that puts Bama in the playoff. That would put Bama in.
Washington and Oregon will have something to say about that, but getting back to the game itself, Michigan, I think, has the advantage when it comes to quarterback. I love J.J. McCarthy way more than I love Kyle McCord. Kyle McCord has not played well enough this season consistently. He's made the plays when he's needed to. I'll give him that. But he hasn't shown me that consistency that you need to have when you're going against a team like Georgia in the college football playoff. Michigan in this game, potentially in Alabama if you were to meet them in the college football playoff. Washington, Oregon. I could go on and on. But what really makes the difference for me, that Michigan run game. Blake Corum, he should be in the Heisman discussion, honestly, with how well he's playing and what he's doing for that Michigan offense. I'm not saying he should be the favorite for the Heisman, because I would give the edge to Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback for the Washington Huskies. But Blake Corum should absolutely be in the discussion for the Heisman Trophy. If he was not with Michigan right now, I think they would be totally different on offense. It comes down to Michigan's run game against Ohio State's run defense. Whoever can establish their style of play first, whether it's Ohio State's run defense or Michigan's run offense, that team's going to win.
Yeah, I really think the first score in this game is important. Whoever scores first, if Ohio State goes out, if they get the ball first, let's say in their opening drive, and they go out and score and quiet that Michigan crowd down, Michigan may be in trouble. Because, they have a coach on the sideline who is not Jim Harbaugh. And as much as people will want to make a big deal about the cheating scandal and all that, I think it could play a bigger factor in this game with the interim head coach, who I can't even think of his name right now. He's done a decent job. Obviously, he had to fill in for Harbaugh earlier in the season as well, when they were playing nothing but cupcakes. But this is a different animal.
That's my point, though.
This is a different animal. This is Ohio State.
100%. And that, that this whole cheating scandal is just going to add extra venom to this game and add extra venom to this rivalry. There is nothing like Ohio State, Michigan. I get it. We have the Iron Bowl. We have the Apple Cup, the Egg Bowl, the border war between Oregon and Washington. Those are all great rivalries. And, of course, you have Duke, UNC, and Louisville, Kentucky. But Ohio State, Michigan, there's just something about it where even if you're not an Ohio State fan and you're not a Michigan fan, you're like, I still want to tune in and watch this game. You know what I mean?
I've been saying it for the last month. I wish, and the committee's not going to do it tonight. The committee's going to make Georgia number one. But to me, Michigan and Ohio State are the two best teams in the country. I still think Michigan is the best team in the country. There's been nothing in my mind that's doubted that. And we'll see. I think Ohio State over the last 2 years has been dominated at the line of scrimmage. Michigan's dominated the last two matchups. I know Ohio State's going to come in pissed off. Ohio State feels like that they have a better team than Michigan this year. Michigan feels like this is going to be probably their last chance with Harbaugh or not to beat Ohio State, because a lot of their kids are going to the draft next year. So there's a lot of pressure on both sides. And again, this is the last year where there's going to be even more pressure because, as you mentioned at the top of the topic, the loser of this game, though not necessarily guaranteed, is probably out of the playoff. Though if you know me and you know the way that I do things in the college football playoff, I would love to see Ohio State, Michigan meet again in the college football playoff semifinal. I love Bama and Georgia. To me, those are the four best teams. I think Oregon's really good. I think Washington is really good. I don't know if they could win a line of scrimmage battle against the likes of Georgia, Ohio State, or Michigan. That would be my one concern with those four teams, which as much as Bama has struggled early on in the season, you know that defensive front and you know how well they play, that they can match up with those teams.
Sure, and I get that. But because of Michigan's cupcake schedule, as you just articulated, I can't put them number one. I just can't do it. I would argue, as even though I just ripped on Kyle McCord, Ohio State has of those two teams. Let's just take Ohio State and Michigan into consideration for this conversation. I would say Ohio State has the better quality wins at Notre Dame and at home against Penn State. I know Michigan won at Penn State as well, but at the time.
I agree because of the Notre Dame resume, but again, it doesn't matter. It all comes down to what happens on Saturday in the Big House at noon p.m. Eastern Time on Fox. We're going to
This game
shift
should
back.
be okay. Go ahead.
No, finish your thought real quick.
This game should be in prime time with Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit calling this game. I'm sorry, but this game is too big for it to be a noon kickoff, and it needs to be on ESPN or ABC, not Fox.
Hey, Josh, guess what? The Big Ten has exclusive rights on Fox for this game for the next 10 years. So live with
That's
it. It's going to be
stupid.
at noon. So live with it.